Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Cynthia, and today I'm sharing with you my Ruby and Pearl XO design team project for the month of March. And as you can see here, I have a journal on the right. I've been working on this journal. It's a journal that I'm probably going to keep for myself. And I wanted to create some ephemera for it today. That's one of my favorite parts about creating journals is to create some special items to include in that journal to use as I'm using the journal or for whoever is going to use the journal. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I just wanted to take you along as I'm crafting. As you know, I haven't been posting very many videos. I just don't have the energy, but I'm really excited to be creating today and be sharing this with you. So I've selected some digital prints that I would like to use or that I think would go well with the different prints that I used within the journal. That's just kind of the base of my inspiration. So I have these few pieces, and then the next thing I'm also going to be going through is this box that I have on my table here. In that box, I keep essentially anytime I get a kit from Ruby and Pearl, I take those. There's often a page that will have smaller ephemera on there or collages, and I like to rip those apart and kind of prepare them for myself so that when I do a project like this one, I have a lot of pieces already semi-ready to be used, and they can just be added to some other elements to create a full finished piece of ephemera. So I had been lazy and I stuck some other printables in my box. So I'm just quickly going through those and checking if there's anything else in there that I want to grab. And then there's some authentic wallpapers until at the very bottom, that's where I get to those smaller pieces. So I'm starting to get to some of those there. And I'm just going to go through, try to select. Anytime I have a project, I usually have a bit of a feel for it, and from there kind of know what types of sentiments I want the ephemera I'm going to be creating to have. So with this journal, as often, like I have a bit of a romantic vibe that I really like to use. So some of that is what I'm keeping in mind here. And beyond that, I'm just keeping in mind the color palette that I have within the journal and what is going to look good with what's already in the journal so that everything is kind of cohesive and marries well together. I hope you're all doing really well. I'm doing good. I've been really tempted to download some more digital prints and go ahead and get more printed, but as you can see, I really have a lot. So as much as the temptation is great and I really want to get new ephemera to work with, well, I know that I still have so much to use, and I'm kind of trying to force myself to use what I have so that my pile is not continuing to grow and it's getting a little bit smaller every time I craft rather than bigger. So I don't know if you've experienced that as well. I know for those of you who have a printer at home, certainly it's a little bit easier because you can print on demand and print what you want to use on that certain day. I don't have a printer at home, so I outsource my prints. And for that reason, whenever I do print things, well, it has to be a certain amount for it to be worth it. So I tend to get a lot printed all at once. But it works either way. But for now, I just know that I need to continue to motivate myself to use what I have. And but I do encourage you to go check the new digital prints that Heather has posted in the past little while, because some of those kits are just absolutely beautiful. She's also recently added some new team members to our design team, and I'll have their handles listed down below. So I definitely encourage you to check them out. It's such a privilege to be a part of this team, and the other ladies are all really so inspiring. I know that, for myself, within the past few months, I've really struggled to find the energy to create, and I'm sure many of you can relate to that. We go through different phases and times that we don't always have the energy, we don't always have the time, but being on this team really encourages me to kind of kick myself a little bit and get myself going and creating, and sometimes that's all you need. So I'm really thankful to be a part of this team and to be able to see what the other creators are putting out there, and really it's just an endless source of inspiration. So I do encourage you to go check all of them out if you haven't already. Now, as you can see, I've selected this little piece here. I really wanted to use it. I wanted to use it in a different project I made, and then I didn't end up doing that. So I'm just creating a little pocket or a little envelope with it. So just trimming some of the pieces so that it can fold neatly. And I'm going to be layering another printable onto it just to make it a little bit more interesting. All right, so I've cleaned up a little bit of my mess there, and this is the image I want to use. It's, I believe they're postcards, like Paris postcards, and I specifically like this one. I printed it in a smaller size, so I think it's gonna layer really nicely, and I'm getting distracted because I know I want to use that other piece there, but I feel like just that image onto the little envelope is missing a little something. So I'm fishing a little bit, trying to see if that's for sure what I want to use, but I'm also going to be layering it with a piece of a page from a vintage magazine. And I just liked the colors a lot, and it's really pretty. The tiny little image there are roses, so I just felt like it kind of suited the vibe of that of that little envelope. Like, it just seemed to work well together. Now, whenever I'm creating ephemera like this, I don't have my sewing machine right beside me, so what I tend to do is I'll create a few different things and I just set them aside, and I'll do all of my sewing all at once. Certainly, you could simply glue each of the elements together. You don't need a sewing machine to recreate some of these pieces of ephemera, but I have the sewing machine, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. But for now, I'm just cutting out the inside of that. I'm trying to think of the word for these things, but I can't. Look, it's a photograph sleeve, or I can't think of what it's called at this time. So I cut out the inside there, and I'm just gonna slightly go through the edge there with my scissors just to make it a little bit less perfect, and then trimming off the tiny little bit of white that was left from my initial cutting. Now, on to deciding what I want to use for that photo frame. And I'm just gonna addition a few different pieces until I land on the one that seems to work best. I did really like these flowers there. I thought that was really pretty, but this is kind of a problem that I experience a lot when I'm crafting is I want to, if there's something pretty, I don't want to cover any of it. So that's what I was experiencing there. I really like that whole bouquet of flowers. I don't want to cut out of it. It's pretty silly because I could just get a reprint of that, but I don't know. That's just how, how it works for me. So I do land on this music sheet there. And that's the one that I want to use. I thought they were such a beautiful couple and they just seemed so in love. And that just seemed really quite fitting for what I was trying to achieve. Now that I have those two pieces selected, I do want to back it with something. So I'm grabbing some of my scraps of just neutral papers and trying to see what I can use that will work nicely. And I land on this piece of the paper bag, and I'm going to be folding it in a way that when I'm sewing it around, I'll leave a flap over it so that it's a little bit of some secret journaling. So I want to create one more piece of ephemera here, and I'm going to be using this little envelope. That was an envelope that I got with like some ephemera that I had ordered from a little shop at some point. And so it does have that 333 on there. So I do want to cover that. And I'm just going to use a couple different pieces. At first, I wasn't too sure if I would just put something on top of it, but I've decided to include something kind of the front and then something on the inside. This way, there's a little bit of contrast between the front of it and to the inside, but it still keeps some of the original envelope as well. So here I'm trying to select something that will pair nicely with that floral print. I want something that will contrast nicely, but also won't be like I was looking at a lot of other florals, but I don't want it to be in competition with it. So I decided to use this piece here. I think it's a vintage invoice. So I'm gonna use half of that, and I think the tones of it look really nice with the floral that I had previously selected, and it's muted enough that it's not in competition, but also it does have a really nice contrast to it because of the bold color. So I really like that. And then once I'm kind of done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and bring all of my items to my sewing machine to get everything kind of stuck together, sewed together, I guess. With this piece here, I did want to go ahead and fold some of the on the image itself. It looks like the paper was worn, so I'm just folding my paper in those areas as well so that it makes it look more authentic. And before taking it to the sewing machine, I'm also going to be inking a few of the pieces just to get rid of any white around my edges and make everything kind of blend together a little bit better. So just like magic, I have my 3 pieces of ephemera there that are completed. Now, I will say the one that has that photograph sleeve thing, I am going to go ahead and wrap a little ribbon around it. I think that kind of completes it and makes it feel a little bit like more finished. But there would be many ways to kind of close it off as well. You could put at the back of it, you could put a little piece of washi tape or have a little brad clip of some sort, or there's many ways that you could do a closure for it, but I just really like using texture, so I wanted to use some fabrics. And I'm just using double-sided tape to close off that envelope now that I have sewn onto the envelope itself the different elements that I had selected. And that's pretty much it for this video. I'll show you here. I left some spots open so that you can slide in some extra little cards or, you know, some journaling, anything. But yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that it gave you some inspiration for the next ephemera pieces that you're going to be creating for either your current journal or a journal you're creating. I hope you're all doing really well, and I thank you so much for being here with me today, and I will talk to you all in my next video. Bye for now.